The Pixel 8 Pro keeps surprising me, and as I'm going through all my footage, I'm now legitimately questioning, is it the perfect travel camera? And unless you're seeing the Pixel 8 in my hand, everything else is video, ungraded straight from my phone, or images edited only within Google Photos app within seconds, which also has me seriously considering not just my workflow, but all the money I've spent on cameras, lenses, and accessories, when in more instances than I expected, I was getting better photos and videos than I got with my proper cameras, my two full-frame Sonys that I also brought with me on this trip to Dubai, which I will be comparing for you in a few, but I really think the device now in my pocket might just be able to save me or you thousands of dollars and countless hours if you plan on taking a trip abroad and you're trying to decide which gear you should bring, as I undoubtedly made more than enough mistakes for you to learn from, and I'll show you why. So in all that, I'd also like to take you on a chilled out POV trip with general camera tests across some various locations, from the bay, the mall, a waterfall, a dolphinarium, to some night shooting, and my favorite zooms, all within this futuristic Middle Eastern cityscape, to show you how capable the Pixel 8 Pro really is and how I use it with some simple settings with surprising results. So if you're on the fence about upgrading to the 8 Pro, or say you are deciding should you pick up a Pixel over a Samsung or an iPhone even, or if you're like me and thinking maybe next time you're on a trip, the phone might be the perfect B camera, really the only camera you may need, especially because of these few features specific for travel shooting that my cameras don't have, and that really only the Pixel possesses, or at least for me, the Pixel has finally perfected. Also, this trip took place right before the newest update and feature drop where the Pixel 8 Pro got video boost, which I did a short on, link below, but I will be diving into this mode further in a future video. But now the Pixel 8 Pro is even that much better of a device for capturing video at night, but I was still really impressed with its low light performance. So as I was walking around the Dubai Mall exterior, which is at the foot of the Burj Khalifa, which is a fantastic place at the day or night to capture shots, and I'll show you pics from atop the Burj as well, but as I was walking around with the GoPro strapped to my chest with multiple cameras and my phone that I was swapping around to snap pics, other tourists kept kindly interrupting my shooting to ask me to take pictures of them with their iPhones or their Samsungs, because Google doesn't have a presence on that side of the planet. But it was interesting that I was getting to compare in real time other phones in the same setting too, and came away even more pleased with the Pixel. But then, and this was the craziest location for an unexpected security reason, but when I went to a beach club with a bunch of my friends, as I was in Dubai for a wedding, and as per usual, I was not only the only one with a Pixel, I was the only one who had an Android. And normally I'm ostracized for that fact, but this time they were all looking over my shoulder with maybe not full-blown envy, but at least acceptance for the first time, and why I don't just fall in line and get an iPhone like everyone else. But crazy enough, I was so thankful I had my phone, because I was literally prohibited from using my other camera. And other than the water feature at the mall, which I'll show you after, this ended up being my favorite place to shoot in Dubai, which I almost didn't happen to get because unbeknownst to me, this was a somewhat exclusive beach club with a crazy infinity pool overlooking the harbor and skyline, and I took my bigger camera with me, my Sony a7C II, and as I took out the camera to shoot some pics, security quickly rushed over to me and told me for the privacy of their celebrity clientele, I was not allowed to take pictures here, and immediately told to put my camera away. And I assured them I was not trying to take pictures of people at all. In fact, they were in my way. Yet he said, sorry, you can only use your phone and not a camera, which gave me pause. And instead of continuing to plead my case, he clearly didn't know what my phone was capable of. So I put my camera away, got in the pool, and shot these on my phone, which according to hotel security isn't a camera. Now, in my last Pixel review, I was getting a few people thinking that Google paid me to say all this, but this is not sponsored clearly. But even if it was, I only do sponsorships if I have creative control, to be honest, where I can also voice a product's weakness. But my overwhelming positive reactions before likely stemmed from the fact that I wasn't expecting the results that I was getting, because like the security guard, I sincerely thought phones weren't real cameras either, hence me owning so many real cameras. And yeah, it's possible that I'd also think this if I had any smartphone in 2024, because in 2015, I also took my HTC phone with me to Dubai and got these shots. And as you can see, the discrepancy in quality from then to now. But I was an HTC fan, and the only reason I started shooting on Pixels is because, well, Google bought them out for their camera tech. So that's when I bought my first Pixel, the Pixel 2, which at the time was the best camera on the market. but since then the Pixel has been slipping, and I most recently had the 5, which just was okay, but up until the 8 Pro I thought Apple and Samsung easily had the better hardware, and still might, but I don't have loyalty to corporations at all. Like, I really don't care what anybody uses to make art or money with their camera. Find the gear that works for you. Regardless, I previously didn't think any smartphone was good enough yet, especially with video, and instead would just use my phone for doom scrolling and the like, and not for taking pictures or video. And if you saw my last video where I did a similar POV travelogue with my Sony a7C II, also in Dubai, this is the next in the series, but I will also be taking you with me from the sci-fi city to a relaxing tropical African island beach walk in the Indian Ocean with multiple cameras, including the Pixel again, for my next series set in Mauritius. But for now, let's get back to the Google Pixel 8 Pro in Dubai and my favorite 2 features. So I can't fully express how impressed I am with the ultra-wide lens, but to get these particular shots you do lose some resolution. And if you want more in-depth settings, you can also check out my first impressions camera test, link below. But I will say that because I prefer this 16:9 aspect ratio, that even with 50 megapixels setting on, the crop is only going to give you 37.5 megapixels, but it's still my preferred crop and orientation, especially in landscape. I almost exclusively shoot in landscape, whereas in video, I only shoot in vertical if I want to post to Instagram or for shorts because of how amazing this next feature is. But in video, I prefer 4K 24 frames per second, but for some reason the camera often resets to 30 frames per second each time, and I prefer to turn HDR off for a long-winded reason. But let's just say shoot in HDR if you want, or if you're sharing directly to social media, or you're using Video Boost. But since I'm mixing my phone footage with other camera footage on my Rec 709 timeline, I turn it off. And I was constantly mixing footage because even though I brought my Sony a7C II and the ZV-E1 with me, I didn't bring the right lenses, which was evident when I ventured up the Burj Khalifa with my friend and son, which, if you didn't know, the Burj is the tallest building in the world and just breathtaking to be on top of, and made me wish I had a good zoom lens or a telephoto, which both tend to be big and expensive. But thankfully the Google has a great telephoto lens too, but the Burj is the most photogenic when you are at the foot of it. And lately I'm finding myself drawn more and more to architecture, which almost requires an ultra-wide lens, where those also tend to be both really big and expensive. So putting a massive $2,000 piece of glass on my $2,000 camera and lugging that all around on my travels along with other zooms and telephoto lenses seems beyond impractical. Or I could just pull my phone out of my pocket and get all of that range and still in an instant get stunning pics like this, because the worst thing you could do on your travels is miss a shot. So briefly, one memorable moment I'm really glad I got is when we went to the Dubai Dolphinarium, which is exactly as it sounds, because my son is obsessed with dolphins and seals, and my wife got randomly selected to get a smooch from a seal. And as you can see, even though I had the time to catch the shot with both, I believe the phone, to my surprise, did a better job at capturing this memory than the a7C II. So other than the ultra-wide lens, the telephoto lens and the ability to digitally zoom even further in and then immediately zoom out is maybe a gimmick, but one that I never tire of. And here's some of my favorites. So simply zoom all the way in, press record, and then hit the ultra-wide and you get this crash zoom out. Now, the zooms are amazing, but it's worth mentioning, so is the low light performance of the Pixel with photo, because the 8 Pro also has night sight, which uses computational exposure stacking and AI to reduce noise. So in general, the images look really clean at night or when you're indoors. So inside the mall is this cool water feature / art piece, which I took pics of the last time I was here, and this was probably my other favorite place to capture unique compositions that wasn't just tall buildings, and having the flexibility of different focal ranges really helps with getting variations in your framing. Either way, stay tuned as I have more POV travel videos coming, among tons of other videos about videos like this on the way, so consider following along and subscribing, and sincerely, thank you for your time and attention, and bye from Dubai. All right.